We finally made it to San Francisco. And yes, I did sing that entire song for the entire duration of the drive across the Golden Gate Bridge. And I don't want to be docked copyright infringement on YouTube. So unfortunately, if you didn't catch the live show, it's your loss. And I was, yes, extremely excited to be finally driving across that famous bridge from my favorite TV show growing up. I am so excited to tell you all about the city of San Francisco. It is a really beautiful city. I mean, look at that view. The roads going up and down add this incredible character as you're walking and driving. There are parks scattered everywhere, and each one is unique. And so having our dogs with us, that made for a really fun trip because we could take them around with us. And this is just another park where you can see the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance, which always has a cloud directly over it. And this place absolutely reminded me of Naboo from Star Wars. And so I just had to take a video of it because I felt like I was being transported directly into the movie. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Now, this place might look familiar, but in the scene, in the show, that hill is empty. But as you can see, it was crowded when I got there, full of people taking pictures. And I gotta say, if I lived here, I'd probably be very irritated by the amount of people outside wanting to take a picture of my house. They are really cute though, you have to admit it. Such a quintessential San Francisco vibe. And if you're not familiar with what you're looking at, these row of houses are called the Pink Ladies, and they're famous for being in the intro to the Full House TV show. And it was so relaxing to sit there and just kind of watch the sun set as it beamed directly onto this row of houses. And so I actually really did enjoy myself as I was sitting here with Jessie. Oh my God, one thing that San Francisco does have are driverless cars. Look at that. They are taxi cabs that drive themselves, and watching them drive around the city, just the steering wheel is turning and there's nobody in there is so freaky. And this is just a compilation of my dogs as they fight over and follow the sunspots around the house that I just think is so adorable. So I have like 1,000 videos of my phone of just them like sleeping different spots. Now this is the Fisherman's Wharf as well as Pier 39 in downtown San Francisco. It sort of reminded me of Seaside Heights in the Jersey Shore. It was just kind of like blocks and blocks of different restaurants and shops and all different kinds of like entertainment. It was really busy and alive and noisy, but it was really fun to go to for the day. George Lucas actually has some production offices in San Francisco, so obviously I had to go and see the Yoda fountain. Okay, our trip to Alcatraz, I gotta say, this was so cool. Hearing all the stories about the different inmates, how they got there, what it was like living there was super fascinating. Getting to walk around and really look into all of the cells to see how they lived, what supplies they were able to live with, and how they were very rarely even able to get out of their cell. And if they did, it was purely on good behavior alone. And I also didn't realize just how many cells there were and how closely stacked they were. There were 3 to 4 floors, and they were just kind of stacked on top of each other. And then these cells on the very end with the metal green doors were actually solitary confinement, where they were put in there sometimes with no clothing and very little food or water, and they had to stay in there with no sunlight. And I actually walked in there, and I gotta say, it was kind of creepy. And the energy in this building was dense and heavy. It wasn't a ton of fun to be in there, but hearing about the different stories was definitely fascinating. If you look at the back of this cell, you'll see a hole in the wall, and there were actually 3 inmates that used spoons to dig a hole, and they escaped, and we don't know what happened to them. They might have drowned in the water trying to swim ashore. We'll never know, but they were successful. Okay, This is probably an opportune time to talk about the weird weather phenomena that happens in San Francisco. This is the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's a giant cloud on top. This city always has a cloud resting directly on top of it, or some sort of a mist. And I liked to say that it was a dark and stormy night every single night because this intense fog just hangs over the city, and it was always very damp and cold, which wasn't really ideal for me considering that I'm driving across the country to be somewhere warm, but it was very, very interesting to see how this was happening every day. Okay, I took a video to show you. Look at this. This was just every night. Every night. It was so foggy. It was really interesting, but also a little bit depressing, I have to say, because I always felt like I was wet, and it was always very cold. So that was our 2 weeks in San Francisco, and now we are headed down the coast for hopefully warmer weather, and I will keep you up to date on where we go next. Oh my God.